Does this all work? Looks like it works.
It appears to work, and the latency appears to be low.
For now. It'll get bad soon. Don't you worry.
Oh yeah, of course. It'll get bad.
It will get bad, whether you want it to or not. But until such time as that occurs, let's play the game. That's
okay.
Right. We will stop as soon as the latency gets bad.
That's right. And I would like to say that in the meantime, I'm just taking a look here at mugenarchive.org, and I'm just going to be looking through these, because you never know what you're going to find here. We've already found... We have Goku Black, which is different from Black Goku. And we also have this wonderful image of Grimm from the Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy.
I should throw that up on the screen. You know what? I should just put it in the corner and leave it there.
You know what? You won't get any arguments from me.
Yeah, you know what? There's nothing in that corner. I'm just gonna go ahead.
We don't need to know when the game is saving or not.
Fucking no. Who cares?
It's constantly saving. It's saving every time you open and close the menu, which is why it plays so bad.
It's certainly got something to do with it. Let's see here. Where'd I put that damn folder? Here it is.
Listen, Control is a wonderful game with just so many bad choices in regards to how it runs.
It could be better.
It's like the video game equivalent to those movies that I like, you know what I mean? Where, man, this is gorgeous to look at and it super is cool. Also, it's gonna make no money because nobody wants to look at it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good Grimm. I like that Grimm.
I'm gonna leave that there for the whole stream and nobody can stop me.
Oh, man. So, we are now officially in the area of the game that,
That is DLC?
Well, A, it's DLC, and B, this is the point when I have no idea what progression looks like anymore, because the DLC came out after I finished Control, and on top of that, I was under the impression that the main story for Control took roughly 15 hours, and that was because I don't do side quests usually.
And I do all of the side quests if I can help it, because that's just the kind of guy I am.
So, we can still see when it's loading, and it even kind of looks like the scythe is shining, like it's got a shing on it.
Good, that makes me happy. Because it's not going away.
Why you gotta be like that? This game's not stupid. You're stupid. Shit, Jesse, you better pursue Hartman.
That's what we're doing.
I think, like, the last time that we played this, we spent a good 3 hours learning that Hartman was way worse than any of us ever imagined him to be.
And he yet stalks these halls.
He continues to be a problem.
That's right.
He hasn't stopped. Despite losing his medical license and being arrested, like, multiple times, and also getting his nose broken by Alan. Ooh, that's a thing for me to look at. Shaded specimen control. Entity capture report regarding shaded specimen A010, formerly Dr. Emil Hartman. An alert from the Redacted monitoring station indicated minor redacted activity occurring in the area. Agent Estevez was dispatched to investigate. Inside the Redacted Lodge, she discovered the facility's former owner, Dr. Emil Hartman. He had been converted into a shaded individual, per definitions found in File 634-1923, and displayed violent behavior characteristics of its type. Agent Estevez alerted the on-site research team to the specimen's presence and, again, with some difficulty, It was successfully contained in a black rock cell. The cell and its inhabitant were transported safely back to HQ, where the specimen remains detained in the redacted sector as part of the redacted AWE investigation. Once the investigation is closed, research teams have petitioned to relocate the specimen to the sector for study. Refer to another file for the full report. Didn't we pick that up last time?
No, because I picked it up just now, but it does sound familiar.
It sounds like...
Also,
like...
look at these destruction textures on the ground. They look really good.
They do look really good.
Because you can see the gradient from the concrete to the carpet being ripped up. It's gorgeous.
They look really good. They also kind of look like when I was back in school and people would like toss their gum on the ground and then step on it and smear it and it wouldn't get cleaned for the entire semester.
Yep. Also, I got another document for you here.
Okay, what's a
correspondence?
Motel complaint correspondence, you say?
It is a correspondence. It is called motel complaint.
I see. I actually have a number. I have so many complaints in here, actually.
Oh no.
We have furnace, shifted bathroom, sticky note, clog, janitor, and interrogation complaint. Jesus. Further research is required as I delve into this matter. Oh shit. Some of these are great, and I don't want to tell you the names of them because they may or may not be spoilers.
Oh, here we are again.
It is always such a pleasure. You said that it was a motel complaint?
Yes.
I do not seem to see that one. Motel complaint correspondence. I type that into Google and I get how to write a hotel complaint letter from USA Today. Thanks, USA Today. Certainly not what I was looking for. And you know what? You try and put this into Google, like Google Images, and instead what you get is a whole bunch of documentation on like actual OSHA shit. This isn't helpful either. Federal Bureau of Control, I would like to raise a complaint about the motel here. It smells, everything's full of smoke. Hartman keeps like teleporting all over the place, command grabbing us. I mean, to tell you what, you did a good job of shooting him in the face.
I hope you liked that shout of terror, because that was legitimate.
Scarier than anything we saw in the month of Macabre.
Ah!
That one too. Motel Complaint is one of the collectibles in the AWE expansion of Control. Thanks, Control Wiki. I appreciate that. It's very helpful. They have pictures of almost every one of them except this one. We might have to come back to this one later. You know what would be great? If in fighting Hartman and his like elongated monster form, he was also wearing just an elongated monster cardigan.
Yeah.
Like he still looked like the dumpy dude that he is in the main game.
He's still out there.
That's right.
He's still out there and I can't find these batteries that I need.
You should try punching him in the nose. That works pretty well. It worked really well for Alan. Try telling him that his book sucks. That's what I would do.
Ah!
How aware of you is he? Like, if you jump in there...
Then he is usually not far behind.
But, like, can you theoretically stealth around him?
No.
No.
It is not possible.
Okay.
He is
Can you-
keenly aware of your presence.
Okay. Yeah, all I'm getting is just a bunch of pictures of really shitty hotels. Unfortunately.
Damn.
It's there. Like, they recognize that it's a thing there. But unfortunately, no. I can bring you the Motel 6 Wikipedia article. Does that help you?
Does it?
No. I can instead, however, tell you all about that Cartoon Network hotel that they put up in... God, what was it? Like Arizona? Was it Arizona or was it somewhere else?
It was Arizona, and I've never been there. No, I don't know that. I don't know whether or not I've been there.
I may have been there.
You don't know either?
It looks like Pennsylvania, actually. Yeah, 2285 in Pennsylvania. So you've probably never been there. Look, it doesn't matter. It don't matter. None of this matters. The whole problem with the Cartoon Network hotel is that as soon as I saw that, I was like, no joke, I might actually book a reservation there and travel just to see what it's like, right?
Right.
Only it's not it's Cartoon Network as it exists now. So
And therefore not nearly as cool.
like the closest thing that you would get is I was gonna say the Powerpuff Girls. The Powerpuff Girls exist there, and that's
Here we
about it.
go. Whoa, get away!
They do have like We Bare Bears nonsense, and that's neat. That show's alright.
Damn, I can't believe I landed that shot.
Hey, good work. Good shot, kid. That was a 1 in a million. It's very spooky.
The way he warps around is the worst, and I love it.
Let me ask you a question here.
Yeah?
Can he follow you if you're in one of the lighted areas?
No.
Like in the corners of the room? Okay.
But these
So
guys
you
can
might-
still kill me.
They can.
And
And they
being in
did.
the darkness drains your energy.
Does it drain your enemy? Drain your enemy. Does it drain your energy to be in those like corner spots of the map?
I am not sure.
I feel like those are so brightly lit that it wouldn't.
It's deliberate.
I think so. Because the whole point of this room is to turn on the lights because he can't. He's a Taken.
That's right.
It might be worth just ducking into the lighted area. Yeah, just maybe see if he can. If he can even fall. I don't think. I think you might be safe down here. God, and what a design, creepy ass Hartman.
The way he teleports around is the best, by being the worst.
It's very neat. Like all of those effects that we were talking about, like the dust in the air and everything, is how cool they were. Really does a lot to just make him move and appear like an SCP. Ugh,
He
close.
almost command
Close.
grabbed me again. I don't know how he missed.
Oh well, he's so tall. He's got his head up on the clouds.
He's got his head up somewhere, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, I mean that sounds like Hartman. He's got his head so far up his cardigan he can't see the darkness for the light. Shooting these little red crystal entity here things looks a lot like a certain sequence in Mass Effect 3. Where you go into a Tron-like cyberspace and start essentially doing this. It's dumb, and it makes no sense, but you do get to hang out with one of the coolest characters in that series. Also, the Geth are really neat. I think you will like the Geth. what if we took the Borg but made them a little bit more interesting instead?
Now that's a pull. One that might not make certain people happy.
Maybe not. I mean, don't get me wrong, I like the Borg. I love TNG, but the Geth are... They're given a level of depth, I guess, and given a level of exploration in their character that really benefits them. Because, you know, they get 3 games to do it. And they're not short games.
They are not short games.
I mean, those games are as long as you want them to be. You can make Mass Effect 2 and 3 pretty fucking short if you know what you're doing and really kind of go hard on the combat. 1 is by far the most RPG out of all of them, so that one is just slower by default.
Deliberate.
Yeah. Very deliberate.
Nope. Nope!
Mass Effect 1 plays like Knights of the Old Republic, but with guns, like proper gun combat, whereas 2 feels like a step up in the action department, and 3 just feels like bad Gears of War.
Yeah. Which is saying something.
It is saying something. Well, it's funny because, like, Mass Effect 1, the way that they did the cover mechanics in that game, they were very definitely inspired by Gears of War, but they just did such a shit job of that. Like, the cover mechanics in that first game, as much as I love Mass Effect 1, and it might be... Mass Effect 1 is almost my favorite in the series, but 2 is one of the best games ever made, in my opinion. Like,
there he goes again.
Get the fuck out of here, Hartman. How many times do I have to teach you this lesson, old man?
He's got to be pretty old by now.
Well, let's see. You know what? Assuming that he is affected in time in like a straightforward line,
Time is a flat
hasn't
circle.
as long as his time in the oldest house hasn't like made him impossibly old, then yeah. He was 55 at the time of Alan Wake. So what, Alan Wake was
We'll say
2010.
Yeah, 9 or 10 years ago.
So he would be... When does... Okay. I'm bad at math. Yeah, everybody gets to see me be bad at math. He wrote his book, The Creator's Dilemma, in 2010. Which means that Creator's Dilemma was probably out for a little while, right? Mm-hmm. I would say it was probably out for maybe a year? There's an easy way to do this, where we say, in what year does Alan Wake take place?
It's 2010, isn't it? Same year it came out.
It is 2010. Okay, so that means that it was like a new ass bestseller when that came out.
It was contemporary.
So Control takes place. You type what time was it take place? It brings you to a timeline, and the first one is fucking 1878.
What the fuck?
It's not what I'm asking. 2019 is when Control takes place.
Yep.
So 9 years. It's been 9 years.
Man, great timing. Hartman just came
I'm
through
afraid
here.
it's
Gosh,
been
he was hideous. He tore the
7
door to the
years.
Great Falls AWE site wide open. He was so ugly. Like,
It's happening
wow,
again.
I got a good look at him, and Christ, he does not look like he used to. The hiss must have messed him up or something. He looks like a bar rag.
That's a good line, Langston. I
World's
like
Strongest
that.
Man, or a monster from some 80s horror movie.
He just looks so
Throwback
fucking
movies, all
ugly.
Practical effects. Ugh. nasty.
Real
Did you say
professional,
something?
Winston.
Remember, I can't hear you. Never mind, just
Man.
go after Hartman. Ah,
He just
so
goes on. He like we did this before. He just goes on.
He just goes on and on. Isn't there supposed to be a bridge here?
Who cares? You can fly.
As a director, I am not pleased with this lack of adherence to workplace safety, okay?
The darkness wants to
Not
hide the
OSHA
past and
compliant.
lose my way.
That's right.
I trust what I read on these pages. I wrote them for a reason. Cut through the reality, tear it apart, and rewrite it. They are drawn to the mystery.
I still really like that silhouette screen effect.
It's super good. Like, out of all of the games that I've seen, well, you know, Remedy has been at this for a while with, like, introducing FMVs into their cutscenes.
Yeah?
Or into their gameplay. This is by far my favorite version of that. It just looks so good. And the fact that it's layered on top of each other like that makes me really appreciate it too.
And, like, emphatically and specifically, it looks good.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a hard thing to do with FMVs.
Unless you're like me, and you look at an FMV cutscene in a game, and you're like, man, this looks like shit. This looks great. Like, part of the draw is how bad it is.
But this looks genuinely good.
It does. The Northlight engine, we've said it before, but the Northlight is just, it's so pretty.
Oh, now he's shining the light at me.
Well, that's not going to do much good, I think. You would think that shining the light at Jessie wouldn't do much of anything.
No, but flinging boulders at her sure does.
If only she was some sort of a director, she might be able to redirect those boulders somewhere else, other than her.
Gotta take Bikini Bottom and push it somewhere else.
I'm sorry, I'm hearing Boulder in my head and I'm trying to work that Chainsmoker song into it, but I can't do it.
Can't do it.
It's such an awkward lyric. Oh man, it's such an awkward lyric too. It's not a bad song, but it's a little simple in its construction. Like, if you just listen to the way that the music works in Closer, it's just a very bum 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 bum, like over and over and over again. And it's not like it's a short song either. It sounds like the kind of song that I would make after 20 minutes in FL Studio.
Which is not necessarily like an insult, I think.
I meant it as an insult, but thank you.
Listen, I think that outro jingle is pretty good.
I like the outro. I kind of wish that we had some way to use the outro a little bit more. Oh, actually, there is a Twitch-specific outro that we just don't use because of I love the commercials way, way more. Eventually, we'll put that in somewhere.
I hope someday we get DMCA'd for the commercials. That would be so fucking funny.
Man, that might happen at some point. Like, we shouldn't. There's enough of a layer of obfuscation that it shouldn't happen, but it might. Especially this time around, I was when I was putting together the Christmas commercial intro and outro, I had to really fight with myself not to include some clips from the Johnny Bravo Christmas special and the Billy and Mandy Save Christmas. I was originally going to put We're Off to Save Christmas like in its entirety, and that wouldn't have worked. I was also going to put that scene from Johnny Bravo Saves Christmas, where they're in the plane and they all start singing to get to the North Pole, and then they realize that the pilot is no longer piloting because he's too busy singing, and then they start like crash landing into the side of a mountain, and he's like, "Oh no, we're gonna crash into that mountain!" And Donny Osmond's like, "Don't be silly. That's not a real mountain. That's just a projected force field to hide Santa's village." And then they like go through the force field and you see Santa's village, and he's like, "Oh no, we're gonna crash into Santa's village." And he's like, "Oh yeah, that is a pickle." Oh man, Johnny Bravo's Christmas special might be my favorite one out of all of them. Like, they get to the North Pole, and he's like, "Oh, Johnny, I don't know who you are, but you sure sound like an idiot." And Donny Osmond comes in, he's like, "Do you remember me?" He says, "No, who are you?" And he's like, "Well, I'm a little bit rock and roll." He says, "Are you Elvis?" He says, "No, I'm Donny Osmond of the Osmond family." And he looks at him, he's like, "All right, if you say so, buddy."
Epilepsy warning again.
Yes. Epileptic seizure warning. Pepileptic dog warning.
Honestly, if you have epilepsy, you should probably just not play video games.
If you have epilepsy, you should play Animal Crossing, and that's it. I'm not going to tell you what you can and can't do with your time. Oh, Alan's really going off the deep end. Alan has been so screwed for so long.
And here we are again.
Whatever is going on with Wake, he clearly needs some help.
Back in the Ocean View Motel.
Mm-hmm.
The Pocket Dimension Oubliette version of the Ocean View Motel. What a cool place this is, and I'm glad it keeps coming back.
For whatever reason, it reminds me very, very much of the police station in Twin Peaks. I'm sure that's at least partially, you know, the point.
Yeah.
But I'm also very happy about it. So, the way that the Ocean View Motel works is that each of these doors is implied to have like a specific and direct thing within the canon. The spiral is supposed to go to the dark place with Alan Wake, and the rest of them are... I remember that they are specifically... they're specific places, but I don't remember exactly what they were. Let's see what we've got. Yeah, there's... This might be something that I have to bring up in a later video, but each of those doors definitely brings you to like a specific place with a lot of lore behind it, which I like. The only one that I ever properly learned was the fucking spiral, because of course it was.
His escape. Wake needed a hero. A hero needed a crisis. For the part in the story about the government agency, Wake needed something special.
Yes!
Something to convey an alien
Yes!
force mimicking human intelligence.
And there's that pull again.
So, this is the thing that I've been waiting for the entire game.
Yeah?
It's the implication that large portions of control, and indeed large portions of Jesse's life up until this point, have been written in the manuscript to serve as, like, the way that the oldest house works, and the level of threats that they're dealing with, and the fact that they are the hero in this story,
Like the one
is effectively the escape that Alan has been trying to write for all this time. Like, writing Jesse as the protagonist who can solve the bigger issue and take control of the bigger issue than Alan ever could is, in effect, Alan's way of getting out of the dark place. Or at least, like, his last-ditch attempt, taking all of the advice from the Anderson twins, the Anderson brothers, and, like, taking all of the lessons from Children of the Elder God and Balance Slays the Demon, and being like, well, there needs to be a good enough force that can, in some way, get me out of this situation. And it needs to be logically consistent, it needs to be written in such a way that it makes sense, and it needs to be written in such a way that it's not a cop-out. And that is the explicit link between these two games. The manuscript is the manuscript's behind it all.
That's right.
Ooh, get rid of him. Get rid of him. And here's my thing, right?
Right.
There's an argument to be made that, depending on how you look at it, that may be the greatest thing, and that might also be something that sucks. Because if you're way into Alan Wake, and it's like, oh, that's awesome. Of course, it's the narrative providence that he's been trying to build up all this time. It's finally written in such a way that if Jessie can get through the trials of all of it, then that makes sense. She would be able to be the kind of person that can essentially, potentially contain the dark presence and contain everything that's been going on with the Bright Falls HWE. And that's how Alan might be able to actually get out and be able to write himself out of it. But then you also have to wonder how much of that takes away Jessie's agency, yeah. Like, how much of her agency gets taken away as a part of Alan's machinations. And that's the one question that I think I can maybe fall on as saying I'm not super hot about that as a literary concept, but within the context of, like, the larger narrative, I can absolutely get behind the idea that control in and of itself is literally Jessie's, like, journey to take control of her own life as well as the Bureau. And in that way, he's written her to be literally, like, the name in Ancient. But, you know, he's written her to have that agency. He's essentially written her to be agency. In a way that kind of makes a recursive sort of sense.
It's very meta.
It is extremely meta. It's very meta, and I trip over myself trying to talk about it properly. But I really like everything that's going on with it. I really like all of the implications raised by it. I really like that it might rob Jessie of agency in a sense, but it doesn't rob her of her ability to be a protagonist. And it doesn't change the fact that she is still a badass protagonist. And very much like a willing and able successor. You know?
Yeah.
She totally enters, like, the canon of Remedy protagonists as somebody who can really get shit done. And out of all of them, she's probably the least fucked up and, like, the most likable out of all of them, which I appreciate. Like, Alan and Max are both kind of fuck-ups. Max just gets worse and worse and worse, and Alan kind of doesn't get better until American Nightmare. And even then, he sort of regresses a little bit in some ways. Jessie's just great. Also, you picked up a case file for Brightfall Summary.
I did.
The event summary is as follows. An unconfirmed threshold manifestation at Cauldron Lake resulted in a fictional story written by the author Alan Wake, creating an AWE in which reality was altered to match that of the story, though only locally and for a limited time.
Now hold on,
The event
1976.
1976. I'm sorry, what?
That's the case file, not 2010. 1976.
Okay. Let me go back and make sure that I've got the right one. We've got, Bright Falls AWE, which I believe is the 2010 version. Yeah, you specifically picked up Case Files Bright Falls Summary, right?
I picked up Bright Falls Incident in 1976. Or something to that effect.
Yeah, these are both pretty similar. I want to say that we picked this one up. I'll read them both. Bright Falls AW. Yeah, the ID for both of these is the same. Event date 2010. 2010. Bright Falls case support. This one was written 2010, 2010. Yeah. Pretty sure this is the right one. An unconfirmed threshold manifestation at Cauldron Lake resulted in the fictional story written by the author Alan Wake, creating an AWE in which reality was altered to match that of the story, though only locally and for a limited time. Mr. Kirkland, head of investigations, was alerted on September 13th, 2010 by... Oh, wait, no. This is the first one that we read. Because I was like, holy shit, that's my birthday. So, Bright Falls AWE. Yeah. Yeah, these are the same. I believe these are two versions of the same supplement. And we may have read this already. The way that these things are written is a little confusing.
A little bit.
It's all recursive. It all means the same thing. Don't worry about it. Yeah, so there's a supplement and there's a summary. I believe the supplement... We read the supplement. We did not read the summary. Well, you know what? We may have read both of these, actually. Hey, guess what? You want to read the summary of what happened to Alan Wake? Go watch our videos. It's about 10 hours long.
Yeah, you know, like a summary.
Yeah, that's right. Bad shit happened. Alan dove into the lake after his missing wife. No body was found. Sarah Breaker reported in that shit was bad. They never found the body. Turns out Alice was fine. Barry's fine. Pretty much everybody except Alan is fine. Although multiple people in Alan Wake did die.
Like the unsung hero, Carl Stuckey.
Yes. Well, also, like, there were a lot of missing residents and missing people. The Taken all have to be them. And on top of that, like, you do hear about a number of them over the radio. You hear about, like, a dude's partner that went missing, and you hear about, dogs that were also taken, which originally was supposed to be a thing, and of course they couldn't end up making it a thing. There were originally going to be so many animal versions of the Taken too. There was going to be, to my knowledge, there was going to be dog, bear, and mammoth at the very least.
Yeah, I remember the mammoth.
Yeah, you come across the mammoth and the mammoth-sized hole in the wall at the same time that you come across the bear statue, and then the bear statue is also next to a sign that's like, "Hey, watch out for bear attacks." And there are a couple of areas in that game that feel like they're supposed to be combat arenas that are not populated, which is interesting. There's a whole lot. I mean, you know, it's kind of it's to be expected with how big that game is, that like there's a whole lot of empty space that was not utilized to its fullest extent. Speaking of things not being used to their fullest extent, this guy has a gun and you're just absolutely not letting him use it. You seem to be getting pelted from a higher level. It's like, I don't know, like pebbles or buckshot or something is hitting you. Man, Hartman just looks, he's just so gross. Gag me with a spoon, you might say. I like that this kind of has you, like, volleying around your powers to just toss shit into, like... It's a little bit like the sports ball that we didn't do in the end of Dead Space.
Yeah.
It's part combat, part minigame.
God damn it!
The absolute hate sink that is Hartman. Still being attacked after all this time. Still attacking after all this time, even. Yeah, it didn't happen, huh? It's a tough boss fight.
It is a tough boss fight.
That's what you get with DLC, though. They had to give you something that could fight back against those, Stage 4 upgrades of yours.
The Stage 4 upgrades that I don't have.
Well, you got one of them. You got, like, one or two of them, I think. I think you got, like, the Stage 4 upgrades, and then maybe didn't get the Stage 3 upgrades yet. Because you're in the DLC and you're not in the main game.
Yeah.
I can't say for sure. So much easier to keep track of these things when all you have to keep track of is the game that came out and not all the content added to it.
So much easier to keep track of when you're like, do I have the big flashlight or the small flashlight?
Do I have the heavy-duty lantern or just the lantern? Hey, welcome, Cosmo.
It is a good game, yes. But fucking difficult.
It can be difficult. I will say, by the way, for anybody who may be watching stream, in addition to picking up Control, I went on my horrible tirade of attempting to get my hands on a PlayStation 5, my long Emil Hartman stretched out hands. Was not able to get one. Instead, loaded up Steam, and they were like, "Hey man, I see you can't get your hands on one of those PlayStations. How about instead maybe you participate in the autumn sale?" And instead I picked up both Max Payne 1 and 2, and Sonic Adventure 1 and 2, and like Messiah of Might and Magic, Dark Messiah. all for like $10. You want to talk about good games that are also difficult? Max Payne's really fun. You in particular, Bix, I think will really like Max Payne.
I look forward to it. If it's even half as difficult as this game is.
It is difficult, but it's difficult in an old arcadey sense, as we've said before, but at the same time, it's got just straight up, like, unapologetic film noir graphic novel stylized bullshit. It very much reeks of, and I say this in a good way, but it very much
I fucking love me some Sin City.
I'm glad that you like Control. This game did not actually sell as well as I kind of was under the impression that it had at the time. They really did kind of just break even. And they were given a break to produce it, which is nuts. Remedy makes really good games that just don't sell very well. Kinda ever. I would be surprised if you like adjusted for inflation and adjusted for like the relative size of what a player base looks like when Max Payne came out and when Control came out. I would wonder if Max Payne is still the most profitable game they've ever made. Because it was huge. Like, I remember it being a very big deal and very talked about, and Control was very critically, like, critic-wise, everybody liked it. But it wasn't financial success so much as it was break-even. And I mean, you know, it being like a cult hit in the same way that a lot of their stuff is, it probably has remained steady. Like, that's the deal with Alan Wake, is that Alan Wake has remained relevant as a cult hit because it didn't really pan out immediately, but sales have been consistent since it came out in a way.
Fuck's sake!
Yeah. You keep getting close.
I'm not dead yet.
No. No, not yet. Hartman is closer to dead than you are. In, like, a couple of different ways.
Fuck!
Yeah. Yeah. Control Ultimate Edition, currently 20 cents more expensive than Resident Evil 3. Certainly a better game than Resident Evil 3. Or at least a game with more content. Which is kind of nuts.
I mean, Resident Evil 3 with content is just Resident Evil 2. You should play that instead.
You should play Resident Evil 2. A really, really good game. A really, really good game that I was not in love with. But, nevertheless, is very, very good.
Let's see. Let's try something else.
I respect it greatly as a... what I would call, like, the golden standard of remakes, of a modern remake. But still has enough issues for me that it doesn't quite grab the #1 spot for me. I think I still like RE4 and Resident Evil 1 a little bit more. But it's also easily the best Resident Evil game that's come out in years. Probably since 4. Kind of just depending on how you feel about 7, I guess.
For fuck's sake, is there a way to stop him from doing that?
I'm turning off the lights. I get the impression that right now it seems like the thing with Hartman is just DPS.
Yeah, but his shield regenerates when he turns off the lights again.
I think you've just got to break through the shield as fast as possible. Because it seems like he's almost dead.
It
has
is
been for
just
a
the
while.
shield.
Yeah.
Fuck off, I was behind cover.
So, yeah, your best bet is probably just to break that shield as fast as you possibly can. Yeah, you were behind cover. I'm sorry. I just caught up with where you were. That was total bullshit. I kind of get the impression with all of these fights that, like, it just kind of comes down to them clearly showing, like, this is the way to do it, and it's just all execution.
Hartman won't be a problem.
There was a way to stop him from doing that. You just have to shoot him a
But
bunch.
investigations need someone
It
to
also
run
seems like he takes way more damage when you shoot him on that, like, open
I've seen
spot
what
on his
happens
back.
to sector
Or
heads
in his head.
No, thank you.
Or in his stupid fucking head. You know why he
Ma'am,
takes more
I'm getting
damage in his head?
something on my
'Cause of his
terminal
broken
here,
nose.
An AWE alert
broken
from
nose.
Bright Falls, Washington. But it might be.
Do
a
you
glitch.
imagine?
The date's all wrong. A couple of years in the future.
Like, that's
We're
the
in
actual
lockdown, there shouldn't be
reason?
any incoming signals.
Couple years in the
It was
future.
active before we went into lockdown. Are there agents on site?
Let me check. Agent Estevez is the field agent in charge of monitoring the site, so she should be there to let us know if the situation has been through any major changes recently.
Oh, man. It's still happening. It is happening again,
This is your Alan Wake 2 hook.
right? The problem was not solved.
They still really want to make it.
They want to make Alan Wake 2 so bad.
The effect must follow the cause.
One of these days, I need to play through Quantum Break just to see all of the Alan Wake stuff in there, because there's not nearly as much as there are in this game.
You have been warned.
A return. Ah?
That
If you
plays
recall-
like a trailer for Alan Wake 2.
You have been warned. If you recall, Alan Wake's manuscript ended up being called Return at the end.
Did.
Shit! Shit damn, says Remedy. I sure... Sam Lake says with his thick Finnish accent, shit damn, I would really like to make Alan Wake 2. Oh. Wake evidence,
This
huh?
must be where they studied Hartman.
Take a look at this. Research and records. Admission of evidence. Description. A photograph of Alan Wake captured by Alice Wake during an event in her home. Background. Alice Wake, former wife of Alan Wake, see AWE 35 for details, has recently been visited at night by her ex-husband or entity resembling him, see file redacted for more. Being a professional photographer, Mrs. Wake positioned and managed to capture an image of Mr. Wake on film. Additional information. During an interview with Mrs. Wake, she mentioned that her favorite camera, a redacted model, was lost in 2010 during AWE 35. No match has been found among the confiscated evidence from AWE 35. It has been filed as a potential altered item, and research staff stationed at Bright Falls are being contacted to check if they have any knowledge of such an item. Well, there you... Okay, so Mr. Scratch up to his shit. Mr. Scratch is happening. Also, Alice's favorite camera is just gone, and nobody knows why or where it went. Which could potentially be disastrous, or could potentially be nothing.
I'm
There's
leaning
no way
towards
to tell.
disastrous. Because most things tend to be disastrous.
Most things tend to be significant. Alice Wake interview. What do we got for this one? Interview 65F124. Subject Alice Wake. After reaching out to the Bureau, Alice Wake was brought into the oldest house for an interview on Redacted 2017. See file Redacted for the full transcript. Summary. The interview conducted by Agents Shaw and Dempsey revealed that Mrs. Wake had been recurring nightly visitations from her missing ex-husband in her New York apartment, address redacted. Mr. Wake appears out of nowhere and rushes at her down the corridor, end quote. According to her impression, he appears, quote, crazy and horrifying, end quote, clearly coming at her with, quote, violent intent, quote unquote. Mrs. Wake believes that he is haunting her, insisting that he is, quote, not Alan, but a fucking monster in his body, end quote. Mrs. Wake has not been sleeping out of the fear of these visits. Her attempts to keep the lights on through the night result in the relevant hallway's light bulb breaking every night, including indicating possible involvement of the redacted. Further investigation is required. We propose installing monitoring equipment in the apartment. Copies of supply request form L5014 have been sent to Mr. Kirkland and administration for approval. Mr. Scratch has been making good on his promise to just be fucking creepy and awful and haunt Alice for no reason. Well, for reasons, but no good reason.
Reasons known only to him.
Oh, man. So, yeah, I guess Scratch isn't gone, huh?
Why would he be?
Why would he be? We ended the cycle, but I suppose it makes sense that if we were no longer trapped in the cycle, that Scratch would no longer be trapped in there as well. Which sucks. Kind of, in context, it kind of overwrites the happy ending of American Nightmare. But at the same time, American Nightmare's ending was just Sunrise. It was just a movie that was made.
That's right.
Damn Scratch. Oh man, that would be interesting to have like a full Alan Wake sequel with way more Mr. Scratch and like FMV villainy going on.
That would be wonderful.
I would really like to see an in-game model of him that's not like dorky and doofy like his 360 model was. Because we already know that Alan looks fucking awesome in this engine. Like, I'm imagining like a side story Alan Wake dating game, but the only character that you're allowed to date is Mr. Scratch, and there are like 6 copies of him with different routes,
different outfits.
Just Scratch. Oh boy, that would be great. You could put that as like a pre-order bonus for Alan Wake 2.
A whole ass minigame?
That's right. Like a full visual novel.
This encounter just goes on and on.
Yeah, it keeps happening.
I thought it was just a few scrubs, that's why I came back.
For a level called the Finished Tango, it seems to have a serious problem with finishing. Also, it only takes 2 to tango, and there are clearly at least 3 people in this room.
Well, guess what? Now there are 0. And I'm quite pleased with myself.
There's you, though.
I'm not a person, I'm a director. There's a difference.
Not a person, I'm a protagonist.
That's right!
I'm not a person. My name isn't Anakin.
Are there any more shinies? Also, say what you want about, like, all of the copyrighted music, but the game's ambient soundtrack is actually quite good.
It's very low.
Very
stated.
lo-fi understated.
From what I remember, it was like almost entirely percussion, wasn't it?
No, there's a lot of tones and like metallic grinding in the background.
Or it was I think it was the absence of percussion was the thing. It was one of those two.
The absence of percussion sounds more apt. Also, look at the remains of the replica of the Cauldron Lake Lodge.
Yeah.
That place got fucked during that gunfight.
Good.
I thought you would appreciate that.
Let it rot. You should be able to enter there, and there's a copy of the Night Springs video game.
Yeah. And it makes...
confiscated.
It makes whatever the Xbox One sound is. I don't know what sound it makes.
The Xbox One is an exasperated sigh.
When did they turn me into a video game console?
I'm trying to think about what the boot sound for like the Kinect was, and I can't because I think I saw a Kinect working like twice in my life.
Ever.
And I don't think I was ever there to see it get turned on. I did play a Kinect minigame at one point.
I wonder how I eradicate mold growths. That's something I would like to know. Because, like, I obviously have my full kit. I have everything I'm gonna get.
I mean, it might do you well to continue with Finish Tango, considering it's a story mission.
It's a story mission, and I was just complaining about how long this is taking.
And then you just selected a side quest.
The game is fun. I like playing it.
I'm glad that you like playing it. The game is very good. What the fuck? I'm sorry, I just saw something weird with geometry on screen. You know, big surprise.
Oh yeah, no, that's super intentional. It's the Dark Presence doing it.
I'm no longer allowed to see what it was.
I can go back and look at it again. You want?
Maybe?
Are you talking about the weird shit just floating away like this?
I saw stuff floating, and I thought that it was like floating into the floor.
Like some kind of weird Z-fighting thing?
Like Z-fighting, but intentional.
Like,
yeah,
total
yeah,
ignorance
that's what
of depth.
Yes, I'm looking at the screen now. That is absolutely what is going on.
Here's the mold. Do I just
total absence of depth, by the way, is an apt descriptor for most of my days.
I eradicated some of the mold.
Well, that's good. Mold is bad and should go away. If you eliminate all that glitters, that probably won't do it, though. Fucking terrible. Terrible joke.
Am Am I supposed to be able to get something that'll let me get through there? Because there is some kind of item in there.
Probably.
And getting it kind of necessitates that I be able to be in there for more than 5 seconds without dying.
I imagine my interpretation of that would be like to fly in and try and land on a surface that doesn't have mold on it.
No, I was hovering like up against the ceiling and it was still hurting me. I had the same idea.
Then I don't know.